Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So last time I left off with my partial thyroidectomy. This time I'd really like to talk about my paleo journey and how I came to understand paleo and how I was introduced to it. So let's get started. Why I went paleo. So as I'd said previously in my videos, I'd suffered a long time with Graves' disease, but I had also suffered a long time with my digestion. My digestion was always upset. I always had a sore stomach and I kind of just accepted it as normal and I didn't do anything about it. I also had psoriasis and asthma, and I didn't know that these could really be diet related. I kind of learnt over the last few years that they are, especially dairy, can inflame asthma. So the reason I chose paleo is because I tried so many other diets and they hadn't worked, and I just kept feeling worse. It wasn't just my stomach pains anymore, it was my hormones. I started getting pressure headaches, so my glands had swollen so much that it was just pressing on the back of my neck and giving me a nasty headache. And when I went to the doctor, she was like, oh, your glands are inflamed, maybe it should go down. And she gave me some anti-inflammatories, but it didn't really help. So I got to a point where I was desperate and I just wanted answers. And that's when I went to the naturopath. I was in a really bad place when I went to the naturopath, just because I was so frustrated with my health, and I just wanted anything, and I just wanted to try anything. So really, a lot of people only go to paleo when it's their last chance. I read a few testimonies about other people who chose paleo, and a lot of them had literally waited until the last minute, kind of like me. Like one lady, she'd actually had MS, and she decided to go paleo when she went wheelchair bound, which is quite extreme, but she went on the paleo diet, and now she's walking, and her MS has actually improved. So I found that really comforting, that there was other people that have gone through what I had gone to a point where they just were just so unhealthy and so uncomfortable in themselves, and I've also got to a point where I want to start having children in the next 5 years, and I want to have a healthy body. So the reason I chose paleo is because I want to have a family one day, and I want to live happily and feel good and not have mood swings or stomach pains or dietary problems. I came across paleo through my naturopath, who I found on Functional Medicine website. I'll also link that down below. That paleo might be suitable for me. Paleo is basically an anti-inflammatory diet. So instead of taking tablets, you change your food, which actually kind of linked to me because I love food. I love cooking, I love experimenting, and I love flavors. So I'd always heard about food actually being able to heal you, but I kind of just presumed it was all rumors and it was just people trying to get money, because I find that a lot of people with this sort of information just want you to pay a fortune for it. Something that should just be common knowledge. I was quite lucky in that my naturopath was understanding of my financial position. I wasn't really rolling in it. I was traveling and I was going to Australia 4 months after I met her. She was quite friendly and accepting of my budget. It did cost me money to go see this woman, but it was quite an eye-opener. She kind of explained to me that the foods I was eating was like putting fuel on the fire. I didn't really ever think that food could really affect me like that. I always thought that it would really suck if I had allergies. Like, imagine not being able to eat gluten. Like, oh my god, what else would I eat? And it was kind of just like a staple in my diet. If I wasn't having rice or if I wasn't having potato, then I would have pasta, and it kind of was just like, well, what else do I eat? So really, eating paleo was a real eye-opener about what else I could eat. I kind of never really thought of eating just vegetables and meat and herbs in my food. I didn't think they could possibly fill me up. But as I started my paleo journey, I really started learning about the kind of foods you need to include in your meals. So I hope to provide you with recipes I do in the future. I have posted one on my channel. I'll link that down below for you. It's just a tuna mornay recipe which I adapted so that I could eat one of my childhood favourites. I'd done a lot of diets, not the Atkins or anything like that. I'd done vegan, I'd done raw diet, I tried cutting out processed foods, and nothing really was working out. Paleo really kind of opened my eyes. When I actually found paleo, I was like, I can't eat what? It was a long list, and I'd done a lot of other diets that kind of been on the same track as paleo, but it didn't cut out the things that were actually upsetting me. The suggestion that my naturopath had was to cut out all sugar, dairy, gluten, corn and potato, but it was kind of just a stepping stone. So when I was ready to start gradually transferring to the paleo diet, the first suggestion I have for you is take it slowly. This is not a dive in, get started, do this. It's a lifestyle. You have to do it gradually. You have to get used to it. You have to learn one thing at a time. The first thing I had to learn was how to eat gluten-free. That was a real eye-opener for me because I loved pizza and I loved pasta and I loved bread. So what I did was I went on a structured meal plan. So I would eat, I would have breakfast planned, lunch planned and dinner planned. It was the easiest way for me. If I didn't plan ahead, then I slipped. So for instance, my first meal was actually banana pancakes. So they're just an egg and banana, no flour needed. I can do a recipe on that later for you. Then for my snack in the mid-morning, I would have 1 egg and half a cucumber. Then for my lunch, I would have my leftover dinner. And for my afternoon snack, I would have 1 or 2 chicken legs with avocado and lime. And then I would cook my dinner meals. So most of my dinner meals came from Googling. I Googled most of my recipes. It was actually not that hard. It was quite simple. Like one of the first meals I made was chicken Thai curry with curry paste, which was non-processed, and cauliflower rice. And that was a really nice meal. I just kind of stuck with the same thing. So I had the same snacks every day. If I tried to mix it up too much, it just would have been too much for me. I had too much cooking in my life. I love cooking, but it was a lot. So I would pre-cook 2 snacks, and then I'd cook again. So I'd cook my chicken legs in bulk, and then I'd leave them in the fridge and take them on the days I needed them. And I would cut my cucumber up in the morning and boil my eggs for the week. So it was quite easy taking my leftovers for lunch, and actually I started doing a green smoothie. So I'll put the green smoothie recipe down below. I don't have a blender anymore, so I haven't been having the green smoothies, but it really helped me with the first 3 months of my diet, and I actually lost quite a lot of weight, not on purpose, just because I was eating much better than I was used to. What I did was I bought the paleo approach. The paleo approach really helped me through my first few months. I started learning about why I have Graves' disease and what autoimmunes are and what inflammation is and how it affects our body, and how food affects our body. So I started reading that and she kind of gradually takes you through the motions of changing your lifestyle to paleo. It really wasn't that bad. If I was going out on the weekend, I would take my leftover lunch in my bag, which was a bit annoying, but it made sure that I could always eat paleo. When I went out to restaurants, I would look for the most plain or most simple meal, and I'd change whatever was on the menu that I couldn't eat. And most restaurants were very understanding. If I said, instead of chips, can I have some steamed vegetables? They were very accepting of that. And of course, like, you can't change everything when you're eating out, but you can change the majority of things. So the third step was to start cutting out the suggestions on paleo. So in paleo you cut out all grains and legumes. So they were the next thing to go. Legumes was a strange one for me. I hadn't heard that term before. It might be more common in other countries, but in my upbringing I never heard the word legumes. So legumes are green beans, chickpeas, black beans, white beans, all those sort of things. Peanuts even are legumes. So I had to cut out all those because they're quite inflammatory. I'm just summarizing here, but from what I read in the paleo approach, our body has a similar reaction to legumes as it does to gluten. So if you're gluten-free, you should be legume-free. So that was quite interesting page turner for me. But really, if you're interested in that, you should read that chapter on legumes in the paleo approach. It's a bit too technical for me to repeat. But cutting out those two was quite hard. I was used to eating quinoa and rice, and they were kind of a staple for me. But I tried to replace them with vegetables, which actually wasn't that hard. Cauliflower rice, or courgette rice, or carrot rice, it's all kind of really easy to make. So let's refresh. First thing I did was cut out 5 key foods. The second thing I did was buy the paleo approach and start researching my condition. And the third thing I did was start following the paleo diet. So I slowly started cutting out other foods that were suggested. And I decided what suited me. So I didn't cut out nuts. I cut out seeds because in the paleo approach it goes into more detail, but basically if you have digestive issues you shouldn't really eat seeds because they have an enzyme that stops your digestion. So I didn't cut out nuts, but I cut out seeds. And then I cut out nightshades. So nightshades was a strange one for me. I did discuss this previously, but basically it is peppers, tomato, chili, aubergine, and potato. So potato I'd already cut out, so that was fine, but I had kind of been addicted to tomatoes since I don't know when, and it was very hard to cut them out of my lifestyle. But I still had the stomach pains, even after a month and a half on paleo. And I'd spoken to my naturopath on the phone, and she said, have you considered nightshades? I, of course, what's nightshades? I've seen it briefly in the paleo approach, but I wasn't really sure what it was. So she went on to tell me, I was like, oh, I've been eating them like every day. I had like one a day. I always eat tomato. So she said, try it for a week, see how you go. So I tried not eating nightshades for a week, and my stomach pains completely dissipated. Like I'd already felt a lot better being on paleo, but once I cut out my nightshades, it was so much better. It was quite easy to cut out nightshades after I bought the Paleo Approach cookbook. Not sponsored by Paleo Approach, but it really helped me. And Sarah, the author, is very smart, and she's a well-educated doctor, so I really respect her research and her opinions. So I bought the Paleo Approach cookbook, and she's also nightshade free, so it was very easy to incorporate her meals into my diet. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe down below, and leave a comment if you have any suggestions for any future videos. Thanks guys, bye. And Dill. Oh, testing. Hi.